all right, we're gonna exit this house. Anybody stops them, I kick them aside. Shit, this woman saved my life. For legal reasons, all things said on this podcast are hypothetical and figments of our imagination.
Hi, I'm Meghna.
And I'm Sophia. Welcome to our lives.
How did we meet, Sophia? I want to know how it was like from your perspective.
I think we have to start even before that first day and when we found each other on Facebook, because that really sets the context. So, for those of you who don't know, college freshmen will create a Facebook page to find roommates, because otherwise you'll just be kind of put into a random room with random people, and even though all everyone is a stranger, if you kind of find someone that you think you would get along with, you're more likely to have a better time. So I made my little post and where I was from and my hobbies and interests, major and everything. And I think you commented on it.
No, I saw Caroline's third roommate because she was a bioengineer. I was planning to go full random. I didn't want to meet people on the internet. I've never done that. So I was like, I'll go full random. And then my dad's like, what if you find crazy people? We hear horror stories. So just screen them on Facebook at the very least. And I remember I saw Caroline's post because she was the same major as me. And I was like, okay, she seems chill. She was the same interests and stuff like that. And she had already found you.
God, yes, I remember that. It was me, her, and this other girl who eventually dropped.
Oh, that was another girl?
There was another girl.
I've never heard about this other girl.
Oh, I never told you. Yeah.
No.
So Caroline and I...
feel like y'all were cheating on me now. This is...
You're not the only one, Meghna. I'm sorry. But anyways, no. Caroline and I, we found a third person to be our third roommate. But then, after a week or two of talking, she said, hey guys, I'm sorry, I found another group that I'd rather roommate with. And so we were like, oh shoot, we need to find a third roommate. So she just kind of dipped on us. And so then Caroline and I are like, oh man, because I think this was kind of later in the game too. So a lot of people had already found roommates. So we're like, oh man, we have to find someone. And then I don't know who you talked to first.
I spoke to Caroline.
You spoke to
Caroline.
Made a group.
And I remember we were all chill with everything. And we didn't have any issues with the normal shit gas, smoking, drinking.
Yeah.
And then I remember y'all were like, oh, I'm bringing this plant and I'm bringing that plant.
Yes.
And it completely overwhelmed me because I'd never taken care of a plant till then. And I was like, shit, these women have their lives together. They've already decided a theme for the room, a color scheme, and plants.
We ordered our little teal wastebasket from Amazon that was too small to be used for anything.
We ordered this. That's the only thing we bought together as roommates was this trash can, which we thought would be a trash can for the room, but it was like a pencil stand. That's the size it was. You could just put pens and pencils in it.
You could put a single water bottle in there and that's about it.
Yeah, that's it. And we never used it.
We never used it.
And actually, they gave us a triple with 6 trash cans, 2 for each person, and there was not enough space for more than 1 trash can in our room if you wanted to walk in and out of it.
I remember, so we just had a stack of 6 trash cans just to use the top one.
And then it was 2 top bunks, and I remember I wanted the bottom bunk really badly because I was the tallest. And every time I would climb to the top bunk, I had to crawl onto my bed because I would hit my head on the ceiling. And through the year, I would wake up, try to sit up on my bed and hit my head on the ceiling. And I remember Caroline got dibs on the bottom bunk because she had a back issue. And I was like, damn it, I can't even compete with that.
Okay, I remember when we moved in though, because when I moved in, you were there first because you're an international student and they moved in before everyone in state or out of state. And so then I moved in before Caroline, I think. And so I get there and then I walk in. And so my and Caroline's bunk was all empty. And then you had all your stuff. And I remember seeing your little pillow and your blanket. And I was like, oh my God, this poor girl doesn't have bed sheets. And then my parents are with me. I have all my stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just should I offer her my bed sheets? But I only had 1 set of bed sheets with me. And it just felt so bad. But you were so nice. And then I remember, I don't even remember that day.
I want to explain to everyone why I was so helpless. Because I am cheap. And when I came, I was planning to go to Target and buy all my supplies. I'm not going to carry everything with me from India. And so I was going to go to Target, but 4 days after y'all were moving in, or 4 days later, there was this sale with like 50% off and move-in sale and everything. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna wait for the sale. I don't care if I'm sleeping without sheets, with airplane blankets, because I was like, I'ma buy stuff during the sale. And then y'all helped me buy shit. And I remember the first thing that overwhelmed me was because Sophia straight away became my mom. That's our dynamic. She is my mother and I am her troubled teenage daughter. That is the dynamic over here. But I remember she was like, okay, so you need a mattress protector, then you need a mattress pad, then you need a loose sheet, and then a fitted sheet, and then a pillow, and then your pillow covers. And in that moment, I knew she was going to be my mother. I was like going to buy sheets and a pillow, and that's it. I didn't know I needed all these different things. But then, fast forward, so we all got along really well. I loved our freshman year suite. Shout out to y'all if y'all are listening. So let's just fast forward to the story.
Yeah.
So we all move in, we get along, we went everywhere together, and I didn't know any other suite who was like that connected, and we all got along. Like there was no issues or anything, which I was scared about because I didn't even have female friends, like a huge female friend group, and I was going to be living with 2 other women in like my room and 9 other people in the suite. So I was like really scared, but it's the best thing ever because like they choose out the clothes for you. We like went and got outfits together. We went everywhere together. We had each other's backs, and it was just a lot of fun. And I remember like half of us had already started drinking before college, and so we like introduced the other half. And like within a week, we were having like parties every single day in our suite, and we didn't get written up. Statute of limitations, though. This is hypothetical. What parties? I don't know what you're talking about. But I remember our first like off-campus proper house party was on Halloween, and we went to this party. It was a lot of fun, like 150 odd people. And all I remember is like we were all there, were really vibing and everything. I remember having some drinks, and I think I had like 1 or 2 drinks, and that's it. And I remember nothing else after that. I remember waking up the next morning on the top bunk, still in my dress, and my hair was tied. And I was like, oh, I like came back, I tied my hands like on the top, like no recollection whatsoever. And that's never happened to me before. Like Sophia can say, like, I have a high tolerance, but do you want to explain how I got that?
So I will fill in the details now because I was there for everything. So we go to this house party, and so I am one of the half of the suite that has had no experience with alcohol before. So another part of this dynamic is that my emo teen daughter over here, Meghna, has taught me how to drink. So anyways, so we go to this party. It's the first house party. I'm thinking about like all the things that my mom has told me and that you learn in school. It's like, okay, like pour your own drinks, don't accept drinks from strangers. And I'm thinking, I'm going to this party with the people in our suite, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna drink anything, I'm just gonna have a good time. I've never even been to a house party in high school, okay? So this was like my first house party, period.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna like go there, dance with my friends, and just like see it. Like to me, it's like an adventure. Like this is like a whole new part of life that I've never experienced before. So I'm just like, let's go. Like let's do this thing. So we get there, we're like dancing and having a party and everything, and it's like it's a lot. There's a lot of people there, and there's like beer pong, and there's people on the couch and everything. Anyways, I remember we were dancing for a while, and then I remember kind of almost losing track of Meghna because I was like, okay, I'm sticking next to her because at that point, even though we hadn't known each other, like I was like, I get good vibes from her. I trust her. And so I was like kind of just sticking next to her. And also I knew like you knew what the fuck you were doing. So I don't remember exactly what happened, but I just remember you telling me that you weren't feeling good. And I noticed that you just looked weird. Like you looked kind of out of it, and the way that you were walking and kind of like talking to people, it just seemed super off.
And I told you, like, I'd only had one drink, and before that, you'd seen me, like, actually drink and not get phased at all.
Yeah.
So I was like, Sophia, like, I don't know what happened, but I haven't spoken to anyone else. I had that drink. Immediately, I didn't feel well. So even I don't know why, but I trusted my mom. And I went straight to her, and I was like, I think, at least this is what I remember you telling me. I went straight to you, and I was like, can we go home, because I don't feel all right, and I had one drink and I don't feel safe here.
Yes. So she told me that, and I'm like instantly I was like, all right, like, let's go. Like, we're going. I had downloaded Lyft on my phone and signed in before this party in case something happened. And so I was like, it's like when, like, you're in, like, an airplane or like a pilot or like in the military, you have like your checklist in an emergency. I was going through my mental checklist. I'm like, all right, we're gonna exit this house. Anybody stops them, I kick them aside. We're going out into the front. We're not talking to anybody. No more drinks for you. And then I was just like, I was calling the Lyft, had it all set up. The Lyft, we were waiting out there, and we were fine. We were just chilling out there, waiting for the Lyft.
Yeah, and I think you remember. I remember asking you because I couldn't walk by the time we got to the dorms. So I have no idea how you got me onto the top bunk.
You were able to walk still, but here's the thing. I was worried about that because in the car, so you, like, went into the Lyft and everything, and once we were in the Lyft, you kind of, like, slumped over and was leaning on me and was just, like, kind of holding onto my arm, and I was thinking at that time, like, oh my god, like, how am I gonna carry her? Because so the other thing is that the freshman dorms are the furthest dorms from the street, so
and
you have to
right at the canyon.
Yeah, so you have to walk through the entire, like, residential area with all the RAs and people on patrol, and I'm just thinking, like, okay, how am I gonna walk between the road and our dorm and not get caught with her barely able to walk? Because I'm like, that's so obvious. So I'm just like thinking, like, how the heck am I gonna do this? And I was thinking, like, maybe we'll just sit on the curb, or, like, I don't know, like, maybe we'll, like, sit at the dining hall and I'll just pretend that we're talking, and I don't know, like, I was trying to, like, come up with these things. And so anyways, we get to the Lyft, and you were still able to walk. You got out of the car, and I'm like, okay, that's good. So you were standing there, we got out, you thought you lost your phone, but then I found it on the seat, and I grabbed it, and I just tipped the guy really well, because I'm pretty sure the guy was a student too. He was, like, trying to have a conversation with me as we're driving, and I'm, like, going through, like, panic mode in my head. Anyways, so we get there, and we're starting to walk, and you were kind of leaning on me, but you were still able to walk. So I was kind of holding on to you, and then you were like, let's go to Earl's, which was, like, the market. And I'm like, no, we're not going to go to Earl's. And I'm just, like, kind of, like, putting on my voice. I'm like, we're not going to go to Earl's. We're just going to go straight to bed. And I remember there was an RSO that was walking past, and I was so scared.
For those who don't know, an RSO is, like, one of the campus security officers.
And so we would have been in trouble if they noticed, but they just kind of looked at us and then kept walking. So I guess we looked normal enough. And so then I just, like, kept walking, and I was just like, okay, like, we're 100 feet away, we're 50 feet away, we're 20 feet away. Finally, we get inside, and I'm like, okay, we're clear. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, but she's on the top bunk. Like, can she climb a ladder? And so then we got there, and you were just, like, talking to me, just kind of like, thank you. Like, are you sure you have my phone? Yes, I have your phone. Like, okay, I think I'm just going to lay down. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to help you up the bunk bed. Yeah, because then I was thinking, okay, so then I asked you, I'm like, do you think you can climb the bunk? And you're like, yeah, I can climb it. So I'm just kind of, like, staying there, like, waiting to catch her if she falls off the ladder, climbing up the bunk. But you didn't. You made it up there. And then I was like, okay, just lay down. I'm going to bring you water. And so, like, I'm, like, trying to get water from the bathroom. And then I'm also Googling, like, alcohol poisoning, or, like, what to do if, like, you think someone's been roofied or had alcohol poisoning, because I was like, okay, like, I know you have to, like, have them sleep on their side in case they throw up. So I was telling you, like, okay, like, can you lay down on your side? And you're like, yeah, but I don't think it's that. And I'm like, okay. So I was just basically stayed up the rest of the night. You were asleep, just kind of, like, just sitting there, and I was just sitting in my bunk, and I was just texting my other roommates, like, hey, we made it back, because I think Lauren was texting me, just asking if we got back okay, and I'm like, yeah, we're fine, like, she's in bed, we're chilling. And then I think after that I called my boyfriend Jacob, and I was just like, hey, so first house party. This is how it went. And yeah,
and, like, for those who, like, to be fair, like, our bunks face each other, like, the top bunks, like, if we're lying down, it's like feet to feet. That's how close it is. And you can just stare directly at the other person the entire time, which became like a running thing where we'd like share memes on the top bunk when the others try to sleep, or like send them videos and just wait to see the reaction. But so cut to next day, I wake up and I feel totally fine. Like I felt great, like nothing had happened. And this is the first time in my entire life like I've blacked out ever. And it's still like the only time that's happened. And then we find out like everyone in our hall had gone to that party. So we found out from other suites that there was like 6 of us who had experienced the same night that Sophia and I had experienced, and they all had the same stories. And then one of them like confirmed, like, okay, no, this is like we got roofied. And so I was like, shit, this woman saved my life, because I don't know what would have happened if I would have been at that house party and had not found you and said, let's go home. And then that's how Sophia saved my life in the first few weeks that I knew her. Now, cut to 2 weeks later. Sophia, do you want to start the story?
So now I will start my story. So, as one might imagine, I have a severe peanut allergy, and I've had this since I was like 4 years old. My parents found out after I ate a peanut cookie, and they had to drive me to the hospital because, and I remember this, my throat felt weird, and I was trying to tell my mom that I needed to drink water because I just felt sick. And then next thing, I don't even remember what happened after that, but she said I basically went like bright red and that I was just coughing and I broke out in hives. So then they went to the hospital, and that's how I found out I had a peanut allergy. So I've been really careful my entire life, and literally I had not had a severe allergic reaction since then, since that one time when I was 4. And so then like I have my EpiPen with me, and it's always like ingrained in my mind. Like I always have to, if I'm ever trying like a new baked good, I always check the ingredients, and especially going to a new place, like I kind of only eat things that I'm familiar with. So that night I just was coming home from class one night, and I went to the Panda Express on campus. And I normally get the orange chicken, but that day I was feeling adventurous, and I got the Beijing beef. And they have the allergy information on there, and the Beijing beef just said it like contained like soy and like, I don't know, like just soy and milk, just, you know, the normal things. And so I was like, okay, like that sounds good. So I eat, so I come back home, I'm eating my Beijing beef, I'm calling my boyfriend, and then I go outside to walk, and as I'm walking, I notice my throat feeling weird. And I also notice I'm getting really out of breath, and I'm just walking around, and I'm just thinking, like, this is weird. Like, I feel really tired, and like, why does my throat feel weird? And I've had a few close calls before where I'll kind of bite into something that has peanuts, and I'll immediately spit it out, because like immediately I can feel my mouth tingling and my throat feeling weird. And it was that same exact feeling.
I will stop you there, because she's saying it with a lot of confidence now, but I remember you walked back into the suite and you were like, I'm just tired. I think I'm just going to lay down. And I remember telling you, you're red. This is like weird. Are you sure? And you were like, yeah, I think if I just let it pass and drink a lot of water, I'll be fine. And I was like, okay, but I'm sitting right beside you and I'm going to observe you. Cut to 30 seconds later, this woman cannot breathe at all. And then she's like, I think I'm having an allergic reaction. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. So here's the thing. Because when I was feeling all of this, I was like, I didn't eat anything I've never eaten before. So it didn't make sense to me.
You were in complete denial. Like, complete denial.
I was trying to, I was in denial because I was like, what the heck is happening? I literally was trying to convince myself I was just tired, because it did not make any sense to me, because I had not, to my knowledge, eaten anything that had peanuts in it at all. Like, just nothing was making sense. And so, like, I remember I had tried taking a shower because I felt warm, and then that's when eventually you told me that I looked red, and then I looked in the mirror, and I was like, holy fuck, I was red. Like imagine like the worst sunburn on somebody, and that's what I looked like, but
like a tomato.
My entire body.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, I'm like, oh fuck. And then at that point too, like I was wheezing really bad. And so I was like, oh my god. And so I was just waiting for it to pass.
And then this all happened in the next like 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. And our entire suite had gathered, obviously, but Sophia was in our room and nobody was coming in. Like they were like peeping in from the door. She was dying. Like there's no other way to describe it. She couldn't breathe. you couldn't talk anymore. And I was like, where's the EpiPen? And you were trying to tell me, but you couldn't talk. So you just pointed. And I remember I grabbed it, read the instructions, and I was like, shit, I need to stab her with this. Because I've never met anyone with an allergy, and I've never had an allergy. So I didn't even know what you do with an EpiPen. I remember I took it out, and then everyone was like, oh, we want to watch. No, we can't watch. And then we were like trying to decide who's going to do it. But then everyone just ran away. Like, they all ran away and they're like, we don't know what to do. And they just scattered. And I was like, I guess I'm doing this. And I just stabbed her with the EpiPen on her thigh. And then, like, 10 minutes later, you were fine.
Yeah.
But those 3 minutes, like, it felt like a lifetime to me. I was like, what am I doing? Is she gonna die? My roommate dies freshman year. How will I ever get a roommate again? She's so sweet. She saved my life at the party and she's dying before my eyes. It was such a traumatic experience.
It was. I have to thank you again for that because like I probably would have just I would have had to have literally like passed out for me to realize, oh, I think something's wrong, because I was just trying to tell myself that it would just pass.
So later we realized, we like inspected the Beijing beef, and apparently the Kung Pao chicken is right beside it. So a single peanut from the Kung Pao chicken had contaminated her beef, and here she was dying because of the tiny little peanut. Something I will not understand for the rest of my life. But yeah, that's how. And cut to 3 years later, we're still best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because we saved each other's lives in the first few weeks of college.
Yeah, it was we really had experiences together, and it's just like, you know, I think between those two events we were like, okay, like she's my ride or die.